Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at the whiskeys and bourbons to be released in the month of November. Run that video. All right then, folks, thank you so much for joining me, Patrick D, down here in the Whiskey Cove. We will be discussing some of the best and some of my favorite releases coming this month of November. Sometimes these are releases that come out a little bit earlier, and we just wait a little bit until distribution kind of catches up nationwide, so that when you are in the stores around the US, you know exactly what to be looking for at just the right time. Speaking of great bottles of whiskey to find, our single barrel store pick is here. And you can be within an opportunity to get it. You just need to make sure that you are signed up to my Patreon. To sign up, it's free of charge. All the information to sign up for the Patreon is down below, because that is where we will be utilizing the space to be able to get this single barrel pick to you. It is going to be a very limited amount, a lot less than what I was initially expecting, because we're also splitting it with our Facebook group here, Rocky Mountain Whiskey Society, which is my group. So definitely sign up for the Patreon. Like I said, it's free. There are also pay tiers, but it's free to just join, and you will kind of know all the information about that pick then. With that being said, let's get into today's video, shall we? And first up, we have a new release from Angel's Envy, and this is the Angel's Envy 10-year cask strength, coming back for 2025. This is an annual release, and in previous times, it has come in a really nice looking box. However, not so last year, I believe it was, or maybe even the year before that, they kind of took the nice box away. I know a box doesn't equal good whiskey, however, that was a big reason why people bought it. The mash bill in this is an undisclosed mash bill of Kentucky straight bourbons. So it's not a mash bill that's ever released, so we don't know the specifics of it. It is 10 years, like I said in the beginning. Proof and ABV, so 61.3% ABV, or 122.6 proof. This whiskey, much like the Angel's Envy small batch finish, is going to be finished in port wine barrels after aging in new American oak. So basically, they age it in new American oak barrels, and then whenever they feel that they need the amount of time to finish in port barrels, they remove it from the oak and then put it into a used port barrel. Usually it's about a year to 2 years or so, and so it just takes on some of that port flavor. What I will say is my own experience with Angel's Envy is that it's not heavily port forward, so I expect it's probably going to be a year or less. Nationwide release of 24,480 bottles. That is the most that they put out to date, and that is a lot of bottles. So I've seen this actually. I've recently seen it at a store. It was around $275. The price on this is going to be right around $230 to $260. Just kind of depends on what state you are at. And some flavor notes and nosing notes: rich caramel, dark fruit, chocolate, and toasted oak. Dessert forward, velvety with a complexity from the port finish. I do like port finish whiskeys, but for $250, this isn't personally a bottle that I'm going to be looking for. Moving on. And speaking of annual releases, and speaking of port finish whiskey, High West are back with their annual Midwinter Nights Dram release. This is going to be Act 13. The years are tumbling down. I feel like time's going really fast for me as I count it in High West Midwinter Nights Dram releases. And 13 annual releases, that's 13 years, and I think that's good going from High West. The mash bill on this is going to be the 95% rye, 5% malted barley, MGP source stuff, but they're also going to have their own distillate mixed in with it, which is going to be 80% rye and 20% malted barley. The age on this is going to be 4 to 10 years, like the Rendezvous rye. I think the 4-year-old stuff, or the more youthful stuff, is probably going to come from High West. What we have seen is when High West started to introduce their own distillate into the Midwinter Nights Dram bottles, and I think that was Act 10, that was quite youthful, very off flavor for High West. And then 11 I thought was quite port forward to maybe cover up some of these youthful notes. 12 was much better. I'm expecting big things from 13. I think we're going to get back to some of the glory days, some of the like the Act 8 and 9, some of the really good stuff that they put out. However, that is going to come at a cost, because this year the MSRP is going to be like $150 to $175. If you want to get it, you can get it from the website. However, you have to pay for shipping as well, so it comes up to around $170, which is a lot of money. ABV, as always, is going to be 49.3% ABV or 98.6 proof. Nationwide limited release. Production amount isn't disclosed. However, I was still seeing the Act 12s on the shelves throughout the whole year. So I don't really know, or I don't really think that you need to rush in to get this bottle. Obviously for me, I really like to get it because it's my Christmas bottle. It's the one bottle I'm drinking Christmas Day. Either that or some espresso martinis, depending on what the wife is thinking about at the time. This is finished in 2 different port barrels. We have Ruby Port, and then we also have Tawny Port. So 2 very good port barrels to finish whiskey on, if I don't say so myself. Notes on this one is going to be spice plum, fig jam, chocolate, and cinnamon. And then we've got warm Christmas spice flavors, fruity yet bold finish. So yeah, all those Christmas finishes. But however, my bottle of whiskey, the Armagnac finish, is also a very Christmas themed bottle too that my single barrel still picks. And that was High West Midwinter Night's Dram Act 13. Next up, we have more of a rare release here, but definitely one worth talking about, and that is King of Kentucky, back for 2025. The mash bill on this bad boy is going to be 79% corn, 11% rye, 10% malted barley. That mash bill is also the same mash bill as Early Times Bottled in Bond. Early Times used to be made by Brown-Forman, and this was the mash bill that they used for it. So you could say that King of Kentucky is just ultra aged, ultra premium Early Times. Age on this is going to be 17 years old. ABV 63.5% ABV or 127 proof. King of Kentucky is some of the best stuff you can get, obviously, from Old Forester. Have the birthday bourbon back there. I've tried the President's Choice, thanks to a friend of the channel, Lance. And I also tried the King of Kentucky October last year with Charles That Bourbon Dude. Awesome. All of them are awesome. If you really like the palate of Old Forester, then you're going to like this stuff even better. There are going to be 5,000 bottles being released from 63 barrels this year. The distribution is going to mostly be in Kentucky. However, there will be a limited nationwide release. So you might, if you're a state that I've never seen King of Kentucky before, or it doesn't even come to the state, you might see it come to the state this time. But however, 5,000 bottles, that is a very limited run. And some flavor profiles: deep oak, leather, molasses, dark fruit, very bold and mature. 17 years old, good ABV, good proof. Price tag upwards of $300, $350, $400 depending state and where you're getting it from. But excellent bottle of whiskey. Definitely a bottle of whiskey that I personally would splurge more around the $300 mark. I wouldn't overpay, just like I don't really overpay for any whiskey that I can help. But for $300, I would be picking that bad boy up every single time. Next up, and staying under the Brown-Forman umbrella, we are going to take a trip out to Woodford Reserve, and that is because Woodford Reserve are bringing out a barrel strength rye. The barrel strength rye is unfortunately going to be coming in a 700 milliliter bottle, so you're losing the 50 milliliter bottles, but Brown-Forman seem to be championing that a lot. This is non-age stated, but it's going to be between 6 to 8 years was our best understanding. Mash bill is going to be 53% rye, 33% corn, and then 14% malted barley. So for it to be a rye, it needs to have at least a 51% rye in the mash bill. This has 53, so more of a bourbon lover's rye because it has quite high corn content in there. ABV is going to be 62.55% ABV or 125.1 proof. 15,672 bottles are going to be distributed nationwide, but also available at the Woodford Reserve Distillery and their online store. I wasn't able to have the time to look up what their online store looks like. So, however, maybe just keep checking that out. I would also maybe check out your Costco's, because for whatever reason, Costco has a really good relationship with Woodford Reserve, because I always see like to watch for the Woodford Reserve batch proofs and some of the other limited stuff at Costco's. So if your Costco sells whiskey, then definitely check if this is the bottle you're looking for. Some of the flavor notes are bacon spice, yeah, that's what it says, bacon spice, cacao, cherry wood, and toffee notes. Silky mouthfeel, full-bodied, bold rye spice. So not a bottle that I'm going to be looking for. It's going to be setting you back $130 plus. I just don't see the value in some of those premium Woodford Reserve offerings. But yeah, that's just my own opinion. You might have a different opinion, and that's okay. But for me, I'm not going to be looking for this bottle. Next up, and we have a new release from Wyoming Whiskey, and that is because they're bringing back National Parks Edition 5. This is going to be the Acadia National Parks Edition. This is going to be coming in at aged 5 years, much like the other national parks. They're always 5 years old. Mash bill, 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. So this is a wheated whiskey, and Wyoming's wheated whiskey is very good. You will like it if you're a big wheated bourbon or wheated whiskey fan. Proof on this is going to be 98 proof or 49% ABV, depends on what side of the pond that you grew up. Barrel finish, it's not going to have a secondary barrel. New Charter American Oats, standard kind of bourbon American whiskey-esque finishing. Production, the amount, we don't know how much is produced on this, unfortunately. Distribution goes on to say brick and mortar retailers all around the country. So this is a bottle that I do see, obviously not this edition because it's just getting released, but some of the other ones from years gone by. I'm here in Colorado, so we might see more. It's a good bottle of whiskey. I think I had the National Parks 2 a few years ago. I haven't bought any more, but some of the profits from this bottle sale do go back into said National Park, which is the Acadia National Park this year. The notes on this one are going to be honeyed sweetness, almond, cherry, bacon spice again, and it's just very mellow, approachable, and it's going to set around under $80. So an affordable, cool bottle of whiskey, collectible, wheated bourbon this time, and then also, you know, some money going back to the National Parks, which is, you know, a win-win for everybody. And next up, we're going to kind of do all these together, and it is that time of the year where we have to talk about the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. So traditionally, it does kind of come out in October, but usually it's held back for lotteries, and it takes a while to get through distribution, and a lot of people, you know, kind of wait until the end of the year to put it out. So that's why we kind of like to do it for November, to kind of split the months up a little bit. And there is a completely new bottle to be released this year, and that is the A.H. Taylor Bottled in Bond. This is a new addition to the Buffalo Trace Antique lineup. So this is going to be Buffalo Trace's Mash Bill 1. We don't know exactly, we can make assumptions, but this is the low rye mash bill. 50% ABV, 100 proof, because it is bottled in bond. What we also know about bottled in bond is there has to be at least 4 years old. But this is much older than 4 years because they've given us an age statement on this, as they do with all of their antique collection. This is coming in at a whopping 15 years and 4 months. Something that's going to be the new release this year for the H. Taylor Bottled in Bond. I think that's pretty cool. I think that they really set this stall out of an ultra-aged premium bottle. ABV, like I said, 50%, so it's bottled in bond, so you know exactly where you're going to get. The H. Taylors are always, you know, unless they're barrel proof, they're always 50% ABV, 100 proof. Production and distribution. So this is, of course, going to be a very limited bottle. It doesn't say the amount that they're going to be putting out, but the MSRP, if you're going to find it, it's going to be $150. So, you know, it's not going to set you back that much. Of course, you're not going to find it for that price. But if, you know, you have some good connections, you can build in those connections with different stores, now might be your great opportunity to get it. And then the Eagle Rare 17 is going to be, again, Buffalo Trace is Mash Bill 1, the low rye. This one is going to be aged for 18 years, 4 months. So not as old as the 2023 one. That was like 19 years and whatnot. This is, but still very ultra premium in terms of the age. 50.5% ABV or 101 proof. Notes on this one is going to have dry oak, some tobacco notes, some caramel sweetness, and dark cherry too. Again, this is going to cost $150, distributed nationwide, but we don't know the exact amount of bottles. So Buffalo Trace has kind of kept the amount of bottles a little secret this year. Moving on, we have George T. Stagg. Mash Bill on this one again is Buffalo Trace's Mash Bill 1, the high rye. This one is going to be 15 years and 4 months as well, so really great age this year with this George T. Stagg. But what really sets this George T. Stagg apart from, I want to say maybe George T. Stagg's going back to maybe 2016. I can't remember the last one, but this one is going to be hazmat. 71.4% ABV, 142.8 proof. I can't remember the year. The last year, I think it was maybe 2016, maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe someone can correct me down in the comment section, but still, huge ABV, huge proof, and this is definitely, out of all of the bottles on the antique collection this year, I'm going to be looking out for the E.H. Taylor, and I'm going to be looking out for this George T. Stagg too, because I've never been able to pick up a hazmat George T. Stagg, and usually they put out George T. Staggs the most out of any of the antique collections, so hopefully I'm able to get one of those. 3 bottles left. We have William LaRue Well for 2025. This is going to be Buffalo Trace's wheated mash bill, the wheated bourbon mash bill. 70% corn, 16% wheat, and then 14% malted barley. Aged 14 years this year. ABV is going to be 64.5% ABV or 129 proof. Not as crazy aged as some of the other ones we have had in the past. I think we had a 68% ABV one not so long ago. However, They never really get up as high as the George T Stag, so this is kind of right in line with what you can expect. All of these are going to be $150, so I'm not going to kind of continue to repeat that. Some of the flavor profiles on this one is going to be creamy, wheaty, sweet vanilla, brown sugar, and dessert-like. William Llewellyn's normally been my favorite of the lineup, but I think George T Stag is definitely growing on me. Next up is Thomas Handy Rye. This one is going to be a 6-year barrel-proof rye, coming in at 51% rye, 39% corn, and then 10% malted barley. Again, much like a bourbon drinker's rye, that really high corn content, the 39%, and the really low rye content, the 51%. It's just really approachable if you're someone who likes Buffalo Trace's flavor profile in general, and you're kind of and ahhing and rye. If you get this bottle, you're definitely gonna like it. Yes, the age isn't there, it is 6 years. I'd like to see this 8 years or so, but then maybe it kind of competes too much with the Sazerac release. This is going to be some flavor profile of bold rye spice, peppermint toffee, orange zest, uncut and unfiltered, and quite fiery was what Buffalo Trace said this year. So again, $150, but 65% ABV or 130 proof is kind of where you're going to be at with the Thomas Handy for this year. And then lastly, the Sazerac 18-year rye. Again, same mash bill as the Thomas Handy, 51% rye, 39% corn, and then 10% malted barley. But of course, this is Sazerac 18. You're going to get at least 18 years of age, and this is 18 years and 5 months. So this is going to my only qualm with this bottle of whiskey, and it has been for a very long time, the ABV. It's 45% ABV or 90 proof. I would like to have seen the proof go up to 50% ABV or 100 proof, like the new Sazerac release, like the shelf-stable Sazerac, because they brought out 100 proof for this year. I would like to see that come up a little bit, but again, it could just be competing with the Handys. They want to maybe keep them a little bit separate. Some of the flavor notes: elegant oak, clove, leather, gentle sweetness, smooth and refined. So there you have it, folks. Yes, we run through the antique collection quite fast, but you know, they come out every year, and I wanted to give you folks the wonderful lowdown, so now you know what to expect. You know maybe which one to go for. I'm really interested in that George T Stag, and obviously if I'm fortunate enough to see the tail, I'm definitely going to pick that up, but I'm going to be quite aggressive in my approach for this year's George T Stag. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Like I said, if you haven't already, definitely go and join us on Patreon, so you can get all the lowdown of this single barrel release that we're doing in the Whiskey Cove, but any of the other single barrels that we'll continue to do afterwards as we drink through the world's whiskies one glass at a time. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.